Welcome back, Cowboys Nation. Happy Victory Tuesday to everyone listening out there. Very lovely Victory Tuesday here in the DFW Metroplex. Spanky, how are you feeling up in Connecticut?
Man, it could have been a lot different today if things didn't go right, but it was an amazing morning to wake up and be 4-2 heading into a bye. Can't ask for much more.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, hit the nail right on the head. Can't ask for too much more. It is weird kind of waking up on a Tuesday saying Happy Victory Tuesday instead of either a Happy Victory Monday or having a what's the word I'm looking for that starts with an M? Like that describes like depression, whatever. Mana logo, whatever. Was not an English major. But what we do major in is the Dallas Cowboys, who got a great win last night on Monday Night Football at in Los Angeles. Gosh, I'm having trouble just today. Wow, it's been a long day, but Cowboys get the win in Los Angeles. AT&T West Coast beat the Los Angeles Chargers, aka the California Cowboys. My first point that I want to make about the game is just that female Asian fan. That was not real.
Yeah, it came out that she was in a Vikings uniform with an Adam Thielen jersey, believe it or not, last year with her face painted. And
Really?
it's ML football on Xvids, that great site X. But caught red-handed. The Chargers fan that went viral last night for her celebration and reaction is a paid actor, it appears. So that's a tough look right there.
That is a tough look. That's a tough look. Which it's even more tough because I mean everyone knows that the Chargers and the Rams, well, not even the Rams as much, but just the Chargers, that their fans like don't show up to games. I mean that stadium was loud with Cowboys fans last night.
That was a home game, bro.
It
I'm gonna be honest.
literally was a home game.
On third down on offense, it was. Don't get me wrong, it was loud, but it wasn't like an away game loud. And when we were on defense on third down, it was. I think it was louder than AT&T. I would
It
argue that.
probably was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
But
was nuts.
yeah. I mean, man, we find ways to make games interesting, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
it appears that we just might not have lucky breaks this year. I can't really remember a lucky break. Maybe just falling on a couple fumbles during a blowout being our lucky breaks. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get too far into this, but that's fair catch interference. And if that's not, I wouldn't be surprised if a rules changed. If you can just physically push a gunner into the punt returner, where do you draw the line on being able to push a blocker on a punt into the punter? I just don't. It seems very, very dumb to have a gray area there. And then someone actually posted on Twitter that it is in fact fair catch interference when that happens. So
And they missed a hands to the face too. Like
yeah,
blatant.
I'm glad it's not a bigger story, and we're not here pissed that we got cheated. Shout out Des Bryant, he caught it. But yeah, I mean, we found a way to make it interesting. I guess we'll just go right into things here. If you live under a rock, I'll just say a disclaimer: it is a bye week, so that's a dub for the boys. Let's get healthy. Let's get back. It was actually released today that the Cowboys have this week off until Monday. So I mean, the boys are gonna be nice and rested. I'm glad. Then we go play the Rams. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. But just going into offense, I mean, where were you last Thursday when the boys, or when did we do it? Friday? We did it Friday.
We did do Friday. Yep.
Where were you guys when the boys said Dak game? I mean, I think
that's true.
The tingling in the balls sensation saying Dak game has been there a couple times this year, and I want to say we're shooting like 75%. Like the Jets were one. Unfortunately, the Niners was one, so that's going to be the 1L there. But then this was also a game where Dak had to take over.
I also said it about
the
Patriots, so I think Yeah, like 75%. Yeah,
Yeah.
75%.
And
Not bad.
yeah,
Not bad for.
not bad for the tingling in the balls feeling for the boys.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, overall great game by him. We'll get into some maybe not so great parts of the offense, but you see what happens when we give the ball to our best players. I mean, Pollard had not so good of a game running, and that's maybe what I kind of want to touch on. But feeding CD, getting Brandon Cooks his touchdown. I mean, just this offense with Dak playing confident is just another monster. Dak using his legs, I loved it.
Finally,
Uh,
finally.
Bennett on Dak's rushing touchdown. Did you think he handed the ball off? Yes or no?
100%. Yeah.
I raged until the camera guy caught up to Dak.
Yeah.
I'm like, motherfucker.
I was
But
I was very upset. I was like, of course I was like a shotgun run on 4th and 1. Come on. And then and then the next thing you know, it's Dak just scampering past that linebacker, whoever it was. That was awesome.
yeah,
That was a great play.
it was a great play, and I'm glad we saw Dak use his legs more because that's most Cowboy fans that I mean, love or hate Dak, we want him to use his legs more.
Hmm.
That's kind of the way forward in NFL, especially with teams being successful. The Josh Allens, the Mahomeses, the Hurts, who's just a glorified running back, but we'll get to that next week's show. But all these quarterbacks use their legs to extend plays, and Dak really showcased that. I would argue Dak is the reason we won this game, and
Oh,
people
he's
would
a hundred
argue,
percent the reason we
yeah,
won.
1000%. And
100%. Yeah.
I'm just happy that we were able to put on a showing after what was a putrid last week. But
Hmm.
Burke, I just want to start off by saying, do we have a small issue in our run game? Is that something that you've kind of honed in on? Because I'm just gonna pull up a couple stats. Dak, besides Dak rushing, Tony Pollard didn't break any loose. Besides that one where Tyron Smith absolutely pancaked someone. But Tony Pollard was 15 for 30,
Yep.
which is two. He had an average of 2 yards and a
Hmm.
long of 7. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if we were a buyer of some sort of running back at the deadline this year. It really wouldn't surprise me. A guy like, I don't know, James Conner when he comes back healthy, or maybe we bring someone in. But I really wouldn't be shocked if we brought a running back in. Maybe I don't know how much of the price of Zach Moss is inflated, but I mean, just running backs, we know they're not getting paid much. But do you think there's a bigger issue to be had in our run game? Because that makes our offense kind of one dimensional.
Yes, it is a problem. We've kind of touched upon it just throughout our pods so far this season in saying that there is, some type of issue with our run game. And to be honest with you, I really don't know what it is, seeing how we do have our, like, our Fab Five first team, A team O line out there. And they just got manhandled yesterday. It was really frustrating. Pollard, like you said, 15 carries, 30 yards, 2 yards a carry. I mean, that's pitiful, especially for a guy as good as Pollard and as explosive. There were just no lanes yesterday. It was really tough to watch. And I don't know how much of it is because we've faced some pretty good defenses so far this year, some pretty solid run defenses, or it's maybe that our O line just isn't used to playing together yet. I'm not really sure what it is. Maybe part of it is a scheme thing, but
I was gonna
yes,
say that.
yeah,
I was gonna say that.
to answer your question, there is an issue, and I fully agree that it does make our offense one dimensional, which when you have games like yesterday where Dak is going to do what he has to do to win the game and your defense is going to do just enough, it's fine. But if this is a game that we lost, we would have probably circled that as the number one issue with our offense and said, well, we couldn't run the ball. Like
For sure.
Dak's TD run was what, 19 yards?
18.
18. And then Pollard had 30 yards rushing.
Yeah.
And what
Wait, Burke, not to cut you off. Dak's touchdown run is the longest run by a Cowboys quarterback since who?
I saw the tweet, but yeah, John Kitna 2010. Crazy. Crazy.
Nuts.
Crazy. Yeah.
Oh,
I
but
I
yeah,
can't believe that
it
Dak
is.
didn't have one like a longer one. Like even like
Yeah,
young Dak or even Romo. Like I mean,
yeah,
like
it boggles my
oh.
mind. But I think it could be a scheme thing, man.
Hmm.
We just need to get Pollard in space, and unfortunately, Mike kind of likes running halfback dives, or if you play Madden, the inside zone out of a shotgun formation.
Yep.
So,
Which is
I mean,
great in
Tony,
Madden, for the record.
great, yeah,
Not great for
fantastic,
the Dallas Cowboys
yeah,
in real
fantastic
life.
in Madden, not good against the cow, not good in real life. Tony Pollard's longest run, shocker, was a pitch, and we got him in space, and we had our linemen who are damn good athletes, and Tyron Smith showcasing him that, excuse me, that he still has it,
Mhm.
just absolutely threw a grown man. So that was good to see. And not to be negative Nancy over here, yeah, but there's an elephant in the room. Do you want to address it or do you want me to?
Is it the elephant that we talked about before we started recording?
It is the elephant we talked about.
Okay. So yeah, there is a problem in Dallas. And believe it or not, it's not Apollo 13, it's MG 13. Michael Gallup, love the guy. He's a great human being. He's been through a lot of adversity. He's had some horrible injury luck, but the reality of the situation right now is that he is unplayable. And what we saw against Arizona, a lot of those yards, he had a solid game. But for him to lead the team in targets yesterday, and I think he finished with 3 catches for 24 yards.
Yeah, three
Yeah,
catches, 10 targets, 21 yards.
yeah, that is inexcusable. I don't know how else to put it. He can't beat press coverage anymore. He just can't. Um, he's not fast enough anymore to get open downfield, although he actually did yesterday. And then Dak placed a perfect ball in between, which was I mean we talked about it earlier in our group chat, but a nuts pass attempt by Dak Prescott. Like the stones you have to even attempt that throw is nuts. But it was a perfectly placed ball, and Gallup dropped it.
Almost
Michael Gallup,
intercepted. Almost
yeah,
I think that had a higher interception chance than I thought Michael Gallup was going to catch that. And it
yeah,
hit Michael Gallup in the chest.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
crazy.
Gallup had a really, really, really tough game yesterday. I don't like coming down on him because I've we've hung on to
Pause.
what mm, yeah, yep. Rephrase. Resetting here. Um
That's a clip.
yeah, I don't like to be negative on Michael Gallup because he is a really good guy. The guys in the locker room love him. Like you can tell he's a very well respected player within that locker room. But the reality is that if it was not for his contract, he would not be starting on this team. And that's not, again, that's not a knock on him. I mean, he gets offered the money coming off an injury. What are you supposed to do? Not take that? Like, you're going to take that every time, of course. But the reality is that Jalen Tolbert should be getting his reps. I I mean, Jalen Tolbert did have a very unfortunate play on that Turpin play. I know there was a lot of people just quick to bash him on Twitter and on social media, being like, "Oh, this guy's an idiot." I don't agree with that. I understand his thought process. Like he thought the ball got touched. It was really close. It was kind of a bang bang thing, and in that split second, it's not like anyone really knew what was going on. So he just had the instinct of, oh, he touched it, loose ball, got to fall on it. And so I understand what he was trying to do. I don't fault him for that. That also has no bearing on what we believe he can do as a receiver, especially with what we saw in preseason and then the limited opportunities that he's gotten. I think he's ready for a shot, and there's no better time to try to get him some more reps than coming out of a bye week. I mean, this is our coach's chance to shake some things up because some things, although they won yesterday, this team has a lot of issues, and there's some things that are going to have to change. And I think One of them is that Michael Gallup, I think his days as a starter, in order to give this team the best chance to win week in and week out, it has to be 18 over 13. I'm sorry, Michael Gallup, but that's just the reality of the situation.
Sure. And it sucks because like pre-ACL Gallup was a beast, and he was, I mean, Cowboys fans will agree with this. He was one of the more underrated wide receiver twos, wide receiver threes, overlooked guys in the league.
We used
One
to
of the
call him the
best
most underrated player in the league.
yeah, one of the best toe tappers on the sideline, could high point a ball, but just, I mean, it's inexcusable for a 30% completion rate when you're targeted. He had the most targets on the team. And I mean, okay, I agree with what you said. Let's get Tolbert for Gallup. But fuck, let's put number 3 out wide in Gallup's spot and then Tolbert in the slot. And that's how we should go about things.
Yeah.
It sucks. It sucks that we chose him over a certain Cleveland Brown now. That's what really stings the most in my
Who
personal opinion.
destroyed the 49ers this weekend too, I might add.
Yep. He
That was
had tapped
painful.
on Chardavius Ward,
That
I
was
think
painful.
twice.
Yeah.
But it sucks, and I completely agree. It's teams are going to start honing in on CD, and they did it last year. Chargers did it where they had Derwin James just sitting in the inside zone of CD all game. We still fed CD, and shocker, CD went off. But we need production out of all skill positions on offense. Brandon Cooks had a touchdown. Michael Gallup getting 10 receptions or 10 targets, only getting 3 receptions and 21 yards. That could be any team in the league, and you're like, that's a shit game. And then you pull up his stats, you look. I don't know why we keep throwing that one slant to Gallup. You know what I'm talking about? Where he's just absolutely smothered, doesn't get any separation, and it looks like it's a pick every single time because I don't know if we trust his physicality to box a corner out, but it's just like my leash is gone on Michael Gallup, honestly.
Agreed.
And it sucks. And I'm not here to bash a Cowboys player. He's a Cowboys player. But I'm a Cowboys fan, and I want the best team on the field to win. And I'm starting to think that our wide receiver core is going to be CD, Cooks, Tolbert moving forward, if for whatever reason we don't sign. And I'm not going to rule it out because we do have some cap. We could play around a little bit, but if we don't bring anyone in at the deadline. But yeah, overall, still shaky. Still some things we got to iron out, like kink wise on our offense. And I'm glad I would argue this bye week came at one of the better times. I love how Mike gets a week off to probably eat cheeseburgers and refresh. Dak gets to go home and probably go on vacation or have a little staycation with his smoke show. CD's probably taking his phone out of his girlfriend's hands again. But like our offensive line gets more healthy. We know Tyler B, Zach, we know some guys have been fighting some lingering issues. So just getting them fully healthy is going to be great. And I want to shift this into our defense now, but I mean, it goes without saying your offensive player of the week for the Cowboys is Dak Prescott, correct?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I didn't think we had to say that out loud, but just for your viewers at home that are listening to this, it is Dak number 4 that is coming home with the offensive player of the week for the Dallas Cowboys.
Back in
Now
on
shifting
Dak.
to
Back
end. Shifting to defense. The box score doesn't do our defense justice. Bennett, can you ask me why?
Why is that?
Okay, I'm going to rephrase this question and ask you a question now. Where did the Chargers start field position wise on their touchdown drives?
It's a really good question. Well, they had 2 touchdown drives, right?
Yeah. Just to save the audience hearing Bennett think.
Yeah. Just
they started
skip all that.
they started at the Dallas 20 and the Dallas 42. Other than that, they didn't score on us.
Was the 42 after the big punt return? Or
Yeah, the
yes,
muff
yes,
punt.
yes. Yep. Yep. Okay.
And so, and then they had a really long kick return. But our
Hmm.
defense clamped. Marquise Bell, dog. And
He was
little
awesome.
little disclaimer. I just want to get this out in the open quick. Defensive player of the week, Marquise Bell. Him and Overshawn, that is going to be such a sick training camp battle to watch. Not going to rule out Damone Clark's job security or Van Der Esch's, but these young bucks are feisty. And not to mention feisty like Dante Fowler giving Austin Eckler a right hook from Jesus himself before the game.
Yeah.
Some people hate that, but fuck. I need to see fight out of the Cowboys. So even if it's a physical fight before the game, hopefully, fingers crossed, no suspension. Shouldn't be one if the Niners Browns one didn't get one. But
No, it'll be fine.
this defense played great. Deron Bland is him. There needs to be like I'm gonna start fucking pushing the narrative. He's a top 10 corner in the NFL right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, like
Ooh.
statistically, do you want to send the tweet or share the tweet that you sent the group
Yes.
chat? The stats
Yes.
back it up. The eye test backs it up. Barring Keenan Allen's a route technician, he snapped him on one double move. Thank God Herbert overthrew it. But other than that, like Deron Bland is a dog. Fourth down from our like 7 or 6 pass breakup in the end zone. He's just everywhere. Should have had a pick, probably a pick six. Trayvon Diggs in that position makes that pick six, but that's a different story. But Deron Bland is a top 10 corner in the NFL currently, and
The stats
that's no
back it up.
shade. Yeah, share those stats to back it up.
So through 6 weeks, Deron Bland is statistically the best cornerback in the league. This is tweeted out by NFL Rookie Watch on X, which has 143,000 followers. They're verified. They're a legit source. 304 defensive snaps, 26 targets, 13 receptions allowed for 130 yards, 0 touchdowns, tied for the league lead in interceptions with 3, 2 passes defended, and a 30.6 passer rating allowed when targeted, which is the lowest in the NFL. In addition, he also has the most interceptions of any defensive back since the start of last season. And he
I
was
mean,
the 36th defensive back off the board in the 2022 NFL draft.
I mean,
Pretty nuts.
Cowboy fans, eye test, stats, you name it, we got to start the fucking narrative. Eagles fans, PR team on fucking James Bradbury is double the PR that Deron Bland gets, and that is disgusting. We need to start pushing that agenda. We have everything to back it up. He's a dog. He's a dog out of Fresno State. Loved his film. Like, man, he's just a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think Stephon obviously is aging. We don't know the future with Jordan Lewis, but we know one thing for damn sure is we have one starting cornerback one and starting quarterback two of the future. Deron Bland can play everywhere,
Yeah.
but we had a great game. DeMarcus Lawrence statistically, according to PFF, I know some people love him, some people hate him. Second best, highest graded edge player, only behind Nick Bosa, which is
Mm-hmm.
very interesting. But
Very interesting.
Bennett, I also, besides the one clutch sack out of Micah, I want to say our defensive front was very underwhelming sack department wise. But then I saw a stat today that said we pressured Herbert at a 46.7% rate.
Yeah.
Um, I love those sort of stats, but at the same time, it's like, damn, like you're kind of just making just some stats are just a reach for me. And like, sure, the pressure rate's great. How do you calculate pressure? I'm not too sure. There could be a guy sitting in a room just watching film, being like, that looks like a pressure to me, for all I know. But our defensive line needs to get a little more, less hero ball, more stay in your lanes and trust that we're a good unit type thing. And
Yeah.
to go off that, um, why do some mobile quarterbacks absolutely destroy the Cowboys? Well, all of our pass rushers want their sack. They abandon their pass rush lanes. Lanes open up. We get absolutely gashed because we're a man coverage heavy team in the NFL. So, I mean, certainly the stats back it up. For a unit that we have high praise for, I need to see a bit more. I know I'm splitting ass hairs here right now, but don't you kind of agree with that, Bennett? I mean, for a unit that's so highly praised, arguably our best unit on our team, we need to see a little more out of them.
No, I agree. I 100% agree with that. That was actually one of the points that I had written down just as a talking point for us was that the pass rush and Micah Parsons, obviously the sack on the last drive, we were waiting for him all game. We've honestly been kind of waiting for him for a couple weeks. He didn't have one against New England. He was close a couple times. He was a no-show last week, but he showed up when it mattered yesterday, which is awesome to see. And Demarcus Lawrence, for as good as we know he is, I do really like that when the Cowboys are in prime time that like whether it's Tarico and Troy yesterday or whether it's on Sunday night last week when Al and or I guess not Al anymore, Collinsworth and what's his nuts? Why am I blanking? Who's the other guy in SNF now? Why am I blanking? Oh, it is Tarico.
Yeah.
And
You
then
said Tarico. You
yeah,
said Tarico for Monday.
Joe and Troy.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I love that Demarcus Lawrence is actually finally getting some praise by the national media, which is awesome because he is very very good. The numbers won't show it in the box score because he didn't have a sack yesterday, but he got a lot of pressure. And I will give Justin Herbert credit. He was not good yesterday. He had a very, very shaky game. If Dak missed some of those throws that he missed, like a couple wide open misses to Keenan Allen, who on at least one of them would have walked into the end zone. Um, if Dak missed those throws, everyone would be up in arms. But because it's Justin Herbert and he throws the ball like really far, it's cool. But our pass rush as a whole, I do agree with you. They need to show up better, and more consistently. And I saw a tweet today, and I had to like it because I actually agreed with it. It's that Demarcus Lawrence, and this is just to further hammer home this point, but Demarcus Lawrence is the most consistent player on our defense. Like his ability to just show up and impact the game, whether it's he doesn't care about showing up in the box score, whether he gets 2 sacks, whether he gets none, but like I was saying, to Justin Herbert's credit, the reason why we weren't getting sacks, he was getting the ball out quick. We didn't allow him to just sit in the pocket and just pick us apart and go deep, which is a big part of his game. The pressure was getting to him. We were destroying their line. It was just Herbert was just getting the ball out quick. And then when Herbert finally had to sit back in the pocket and let routes develop, like we saw in that last drive, when our secondary just had to blanket and our pass rush could just feast. That's when we saw that the pass rush was awesome. The Micah sack, the last play of the game for the Chargers when Herbert threw the pick. I mean, he was about to get hit from like 3 different people. Like it is frustrating to see our defense not as consistent as we would like and not producing the sack numbers, that we saw in the first couple of weeks. But at the end of the day, it is the NFL, and it's not easy to just get 5 sacks every game. And very big credit to Demarcus Lawrence. He was very good. It won't show up in the box, but there's a reason why he's the second highest rated edge rusher in the NFL behind the reigning defensive player of the year. Like he's been really good. And like you said with Marquise Bell, that is our defensive MVP from yesterday, without a doubt. He was awesome.
Sure.
He was
For
so
sure.
awesome. I mean, you especially. I remember you last year when we picked him up. You've been pounding the table for him since day one, so credit to you for that. But he is awesome. Like, and with where our linebacker room is, maybe the fact that we didn't have Leighton Vander Esch yesterday, and there weren't any times where we were sitting there watching the game being like, damn, like we really need another linebacker right now. That's a complete testament to how well Marquise Bell did yesterday. He was awesome. He was all over the field. And he is a lot like Bland. He's just a dog. Like he does not care. He hits hard. He can do whatever you want. And to even I guess not necessarily combat, but one of the things that you said about that training camp battle between him and Overshone, I don't even think it's going to be a battle. I think we're going to have to start them both. Obviously, this is hypothetical thinking just down the line, but I think with the position we're in with Leighton Vander Esch, where we declined his 5th-year option, and the guy hasn't been back to how he performed as a rookie when he was awesome. I think the reality of the situation, and the injury doesn't help his case here, is that I don't think it's very far fetched at all. In fact, I would argue it's almost likely that it's more likely that we let him walk and try to go with the younger linebacker core with Clark, with Overshone, with Marquise Bell, with whoever else we draft or pick up in free agency. We just go from there because, be honest with you, with Vander Esch, it's such a coin flip. And, I don't want to talk bad about him while he's injured, but I feel like it's such a coin flip in which Leighton Vander Esch you get. And we've harped on him before. And I mean, he had games where he was awesome. Like in the Patriots game, he was awesome. But then he had games like the first, 3 weeks before that where he did nothing. So it is just to kind of put a button on things for our defense. It was encouraging to see them step up when it mattered. But I do have a question for you in that obviously we know how big of an injury losing Trayvon Diggs was. And I feel like it's becoming more and more evident every week that at the deadline, I don't know who it's going to be. I mean, obviously we would love to see Pat Surtain with the star on his helmet, but I don't think it's realistic at all. I think we need to trade for a corner. I think we do.
I know Minnesota has a couple guys. I know they have a corner that last year played in Arizona, who I'm blanking on, the Byron Murphy. Mm-hmm. They have him. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a lot of selling teams at the deadline, which is going to be really nice. Burke's coughing. Yeah, to answer your question, yes, I would be a buyer at the deadline for a cornerback, just like I would be for maybe a wide receiver, maybe a running back. I mean, we kind of need to use what the NHL people do and get some guys on expiring contracts, especially in positions like a corner, like a wide receiver, where we can let them grow, let them learn a little bit, and use them for a final playoff push. But to answer your question, absolutely. I don't really know off the top of my head. It's still early. Maybe the Raiders have a couple guys. Maybe the Cardinals have a couple guys. Maybe there's a nice one out of not J.C. Horn, but there's another guy out of Carolina who's very
Dante Jackson.
Yeah, who's very good.
The really fast dude with the dreads.
Yeah,
Dante Jackson.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's all like he say, she say for now. Deadline's still quite a bit away, but just to go back on a couple points you made, D-Law might have had the biggest play of the game that no one talks about, where he batted that ball going to Eckler
on the swing pass.
Yeah, that would have been a touchdown. I don't like. We had one guy in space. They had a blocker.
They had a couple blockers.
Damone Clark was trailing. That would have been a touchdown. Mm-hmm. And also, Marquise Bell is 218 pounds. Next year, can you imagine if he came in at what, 230? I don't think it's far-fetched to say he could put on 12 pounds in an offseason. I don't think it's so at all. We're also Baylor.
I was going to say like 240.
Yeah. I mean, let's just be realistic. I don't think he's putting on 22 pounds.
That would be absurd. Yeah. But
yeah.
You never know.
We saw what we're Baylor fans, people. There's a certain Baylor linebacker who was deemed undersized, who is now the starting Mike linebacker of the Buffalo Bills, and
He's
he's
very good.
doing damn well.
He was the
So
AFC Defensive Player of the Week like 2 weeks ago. Terrell Bernard.
yeah, yeah, I love Marquise Bell. I definitely agree with what you said. I can definitely see us moving in a direction of an Overshown, Bell, and blank linebacking core. I
Mhm.
don't really want to put a stamp on it yet. I don't want to take away from maybe Van Der Esch or Damone Clarks gives us a listen in their free time while they're pumping iron, hopefully. But I don't really, yeah, I don't really want to go into any negatives. But just a little shining credit. If you guys don't know the stats already, we held the Los Angeles Chargers rushing game to 53 yards on 23 attempts. That's if you're not a mathematician like us, that's a 2.3 average. Uh, Joshua Palmer kind of came up big in certain spots. He's kind of like a weird one, but overall, like I'm gonna be honest, that Chargers offense was a lot more scary because of national media praise than what I saw. Like they weren't that scary. When they ran the ball like 5 runs deep, I'm like, okay, they're not gonna run the ball at all on us. And it's safe to say, people, DQ won that matchup.
Yep.
Sorry, Kellen. You are the same exact fucker as you always were. Not to go deep into this, but that is the same exact fucking offense that he ran in Dallas. So we clearly see some people like to argue, oh, there might have been a ceiling or a cap or whatever you want to say on Kellen's offense, but I mean, fuck. How many excuses and how many tries are you going to get with the amount of talent that the Chargers and the Cowboys have to not be the number one offense or a top 5 offense? So
Yeah.
safe to say DQ won that. Really loved how the boys flew around. Donovan Wilson came up big. Jaron Curse had a good game, but just gonna actually no, we'll save that. We'll save that. But
Okay.
yeah, we already alluded to it. Marquise Bell, defensive player of the week for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with a little curveball here, so get your thinking cap on real quick.
Oh God.
Who is your unsung hero of the game?
Good question. Um, my unsung hero of the game. Well, it was gonna be Deron Bland, but I know we talked about him a lot. Um, oh, my unsung hero of the game. Go back to the other side of the ball here. Brandon Cooks.
Yes, yes,
Finally got him
yes.
involved. And it was awesome. He looked good yesterday. He did not. I think he came up like what, like a yard short of his over, which
Yeah,
we predicted he was gonna hit the over, but got his first touchdown. It's funny that a guy that's been like a perennial 1,000-yard receiver and even on some really bad teams can be good. Like who would have thought, right? It's just funny. I was very glad that we finally got him involved. Um, I really hope that this bye week can be more for, hopefully him and Dak getting on the same page as well. But my unsung hero is 100% Brandon Cooks. I mean, we don't win that game without him. He had some really clutch catches, had a couple third down grabs, obviously the touchdown grab. So yeah, my unsung hero of the game is Brandon Cooks.
absolutely. I mean, you took the name right out of my mouth. Pause,
Yeah.
but like that was just a absolutely like hopefully just a confidence boosting game.
Yep.
That end around to Brandon Cooks, like damn,
He
like
looked
you wouldn't have
fast.
thought.
He looked
Yeah, you
fast.
wouldn't have thought that a guy that we make run 5-yard curls is actually a speed threat, which is
Right?
pretty surprising.
Right.
Um,
Who's
I must
yours?
say, maybe not unsung, but I would also stick on that side of the ball. And if I'm not going to choose Brandon Cooks. For the lack of the rushing yards he did today, that one play that really, I would say, switched momentum entirely in our favor was that Dak Prescott scramble, turn back, throw to Pollard. He breaks a
Yep.
tackle, it almost houses it. So, I mean, he hasn't produced as the running back we all wished he would so far. Is
Yeah.
that the scheme? Is that the line? Who cares? Hopefully we see different results against a Rams team in 2 weeks. But that play really swayed momentum. Dak did a
Yeah.
great job extending a play. Pollard did a great job keeping them legs moving. And
Hmm.
overall, you might look at the box score and see, oh, he only averaged like 3 yards a carry. Oh, he must have been shit. But that play, I would argue, put us in that play and then that Brandon Cooks third down catch.
Yeah.
So both of our unsung heroes did pull just absolutely momentum shifting plays for us.
Agreed.
But
Agreed.
let's get us going into our next section. And on a
Great, good, bad.
Cowboys dub, huh?
Great, good, bad.
Yeah, great, good, bad. So on wins it's great, good, bad. On losses, we have a different language for it, but I'm not going to put it in the universe because it's a new week.
Good
We're in a
vibes.
bye
Good
week.
vibes today only. Good
We're in our
vibes.
we're in our zen. We're in our zen.
Yep.
So Bennett, what is your great, good, bad of the week?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go from the bottom up here. Buy me a little bit more time on great, but I'll start with the bad. Just knock it out of the way early. Michael Gallup. We already talked about it. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse here, but again, going into a bye week, it will be interesting to see what adjustments we make. We know the trust is there with from Dak, but again, we already talked about it, so I'm not going to dive too much more into it. But that's definitely a name to watch for over the next 12 days before we go and play the Rams. So that's my bad, Michael Gallup. I'm sorry. It actually really pains me to say that. My good, I'm gonna go with Brandon Cooks. I already talked about him as well, but he was very good. He wasn't great yesterday, but I mean the offense as a whole wasn't great, so I'm not gonna fault him for that. But he was very very good yesterday. Um, and then my great is gonna be, I mean, it's got to be the guy whose jersey is right here every time. It's Dak Prescott. Um, we talked about this earlier as well, but we don't win this football game without Dak Prescott. We just don't. And something that I love to see, and we saw it on that Pollard play, is the thing that I have loved about Dak, and he did it a lot his rookie year and when he was younger, like before the injury, is when we allow him to kind of play that little like almost backyard football style where he's getting out of the pocket and creating plays, making things happen, and it's not just sitting in the pocket, just trying to be a pure pocket passer. He can do some special things. Granted, sometimes he might try to do a little too much, take a dumb sack, but he made the play yesterday to Pollard, and just like you said, I fully agree with you. That play swung the momentum in the game. So my grade is Dak Prescott. Let Dak cook. Mike McCarthy, if you somehow listen to this over the bye week, where, by the way, we are available for consulting if you want to run some things by us. Just putting that out there as well. But yeah, my grade is Dak Prescott.
For sure. I'll also work from the bottom up. I would say my bad is the run game right now. I just don't like how one-dimensional our offense is. Any football fan that's not a casual, and I'll just talk to the audience because Berkey Poo had to step out of the room for a second. But any non-casual football fan knows how essential it is for a great team, especially come playoffs. Once it gets cold, once it gets a little rainy, once it gets snowy, how good a run game is for a team. And we're just gonna need to find that. And I'm not sure if too sure if that is scheme and us just trying to run up the middle on Tony Pollard. That's obviously not his biggest strength, but looking down the road and realizing how essential a good run game is once it gets cold, once it gets snowy, once the offs start, we need to figure the fluke out in that aspect. So I would say the run game. I'm not going to cast blame on Pollard or Dowdle or Mike. They all know it's probably a joint effort and the offensive line, but that'll be my bad. My good, you know what? My good is the defense.
Okay.
Yeah, people will be like, "Oh, they scored 17 points on you." And the 2 touchdown drives, they had to go a combined 62 yards. Like, we held them besides them
That's a good
being
stat.
in plus field position. And that's crazy. Like Justin Herbert needed to be on our 20, needed to be on our 42 after a muffed punt when that absolutely sucked every ounce of momentum out of the stadium that the Cowboys had. And so, looking at it through that lens, our defense did really fucking well. Other than
Hmm.
those 2 gimmies on a kick return and a muffed punt, they didn't score, which is
Right.
crazy. So I'm gonna say that's my good. And since you took 4, I'm gonna stick with my boy CD Lamb as my great. I needed him to come up not only big in fantasy, but needed him to come up big in this game. And he had a great quote where he related to Jamar. Once again, the boys called it first, where we knew this would come up, where at 7-Eleven, he's always open.
Yep.
And so you just see, like, you need to get your good players the ball. You need to get the best players on offense the ball in their hands, and something's going to happen. Dak
Hmm.
was playing with a lot more confidence, where he stepped into throws and led CD, hit him in stride, went across the middle on CD. CD did a great job catching the balls, getting some rack, holding onto the ball. He just did so good, and for a wide receiver that wears that infamous 88 for the Dallas Cowboys, we need him to be that alpha, and that's the performance we know he has. And
Hmm.
honestly, he's kind of unlucky that he didn't get any, wasn't really in the red zone plans this week, but I really forecast him getting some touchdowns in the near future. He was so close to breaking that one post, so close, but
Yep.
he would be my great. And I mean, now we're into the infamous cover zero takes. I already let one slip a little bit, but hey, that Cowboy Nation, we gotta start the narrative. Deron Bland is a top 10 cornerback in the National Football League.
I love that. I love that. That's a really good one. Okay. Um, I already said it, but we're back in on Dak. Oh god. But Dak Prescott is back to being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
I love it.
Wherever
I love it.
wherever I mean the numbers back it up. I mean it's hilarious that Jalen Hurts leads the NFL in interceptions and no one cares. And the same Jets defense that Dak absolutely carved up that's now made Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts look terrible. Um, is the only one that Dak carved up. Also, super random note, but Robert Salah saying like,
Get
we've
the
played.
fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
I mean, it was ridiculous. It was something along the lines of, for those who haven't heard the quote, he basically said, he was talking about his defense, and he was like, they haven't all been wins, but we've played a lot of like really good, or we've played like a lot of really elite quarterbacks, and we've embarrassed all of them. It's like, okay, so you played, who'd they play week 1? They played Josh Allen, made him look terrible. They made Dak look great. Mac Jones, I mean, doesn't count. He sucks. They made Mahomes look awful. They made Jalen Hurts look awful. So, and I definitely missing one in there, but I mean, who cares? But the point remains, like, Dak did great against that defense, which has made other quarterbacks look terrible. No one's going to talk about it. Yada yada yada. You already know the deal. We could sit here and talk about it till we're blue in the face, but back in on Dak Prescott on the record. He's back to being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Sign, seal, deliver it. Take it to the bank. Whatever you want to say.
Take it to the bank as Trey Turner hits one out of the bank. That was a
Really,
good. That was yeah. That was a good one, Berkey. But
not even
I love
planned.
that. Yeah, for real. We see things first, people. You gotta
We
hop
do
on.
see things. We do see things.
This week, this next podcast might be a little different. The boys are still trying to game plan a little, but just stay tuned for this Thursday. We're still gonna pump out a video or a pod either Thursday or Friday, depending on the boys' ever so interesting work schedule. But just stay tuned to that. But you know, I'm, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. I'm back in on the Cowboys, and I don't want to jump to serious conclusions, but when I crunched the stats and I looked at our defense, they let up 17, but their two touchdowns came from our 20 and our 42. Dak was throwing the ball down the field. Like, he looked like he had confidence. And just overall, we just look like we're establishing that mental toughness. And so many people are like, we don't have it. We don't have it. We don't have that it factor yet. Like, we don't look like a Super Bowl caliber team yet. Disclaimer, this time last year, we were all like, bring us that Super Bowl. We
Yep.
peaked too early last year. And that, like, it's all about timing peaks in sports. Some teams are Jekyll and Hyde where they're up, down, up, down. You got to time that. And we fizzled out too early last year.
The
So
year
you know what?
before also.
If it takes us a little too much time, like maybe up until hopefully maybe we figured out Philly, that'd be awesome. But I'm not ready to write the Cowboys off. If we sneak into this damn playoffs, I am super excited to see this team, especially let's see what we do at the deadline. So for all you people being like, "Oh, we're not ready yet. We're not ready." You were saying we were ready the past 2 years and we fizzled out. So let's save that for actually come playoff time and we'll see if we are ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And just to echo what Spank said, I'm also back in. I mean, it's by default. I mean, lose a game, the sky's falling, win a game, we're thinking soupy. So, not actually, but the point remains we are back in on the Cowboys, and as Spanky alluded to, um, obviously with the bye week coming up, it's not going to be a normal upload or normal schedule. I would probably we're probably only going to upload one video where we do an actual pod between now and next Thursday when we preview the Rams. But just be on the lookout. We're kind of brainstorming some different ideas. We'll see if we can find Stu. He is a ginger. Maybe he's searching for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow right now. Obviously on a 3 episode hiatus, so maybe he'll be back in the fold, maybe not. Um, but hopefully we can get him back. But yeah, just be on the lookout this week. Again, we're still brainstorming some things, so we'll see. We'll see what it is. But yeah, just be on the lookout. Keep interacting with us on our socials, and that's our Instagram and TikTok at Dallas BC Pod. And then our wait, no, I said that wrong. TikTok and Twitter at Dallas BC Pod. Instagram at Dallas BC Podcast. Email us for inquiries or bookings or sponsorships. Uh, Feel free to hit us at our email, podcastdbc@gmail.com. And with all that being said, unless you got anything else to add, thank you guys so much for joining us today. As always, once again, a very, very happy Victory Tuesday, and we will see you guys soon.